Thank you all, and welcome back. Welcome back home. You know, I was gonna end with this, but let me start with a Go Bears on 3. Okay, is that all right? 1, 2, 3. Go Bears! Thank you very much for that. There is so much I'd love to talk to you about. I'm more excited than when I started 5 years ago. I tell you, the opportunities that we're facing, the momentum that we have, the support that we've been getting from not just our alums, but from recruiters and firms. Just last night, we had a set of new students that had just been admitted to our full-time MBA program. It's called Days at Haas now. That's what we do. It's our recruiting event, our sell event, if you will. There was so much energy in the room. It was unbelievable. So let me just give you a few thoughts on what's going on, and I'll leave a little bit of time for questions, and then we'll get to Tom Kelly, because Tom is absolutely outstanding at what he does, and I want to make sure you have plenty of time with Tom. So what's up? What's up here? Let me start with the courtyard. That courtyard opened yesterday. I don't know if you know that, okay? So, you know, if that's not just in time, I don't know what is, because we were sweating bullets here. Look, the courtyard is of course nice. You know, it's going to be a collaborative space the way the other courtyard wasn't, right? One design, another design, no. It's a totally different room. It's a totally different space. We're going to use it very, very differently, right? The more super collider-like this business school is, the stronger we're going to be, and that's really what we designed into that courtyard. And that courtyard is really part of a master plan that has a bunch of pieces to it. So the courtyard in and of itself, you might say, interesting. But what does it all add up to? Where do we go from here? So let me give you some other examples. We are discussing and concluding a discussion with campus athletics to open an innovation lab in the stadium, right across the street. The new, beautiful new Memorial Stadium. For those of you that haven't been back in the last year or two, it is gorgeous right across the street. It feels like part of our neighborhood now in a way that the stadium didn't always feel. And in fact, part of what we're discussing with this innovation lab, so this will be a place where collaborative space where not just business students, but students in engineering and other places on campus are going to be working on innovation. And it's important to understand, some people might realize, well, what, an innovation process, getting disciplined about innovation, what does that look like? I mean, it's not like we're doing basic research. There's a big difference between invention, patents, IP, discovery, and innovation. There is a lot of wonderful basic research going on the Berkeley campus. What we really don't know how to do all that well as a campus is project it into the marketplace to fulfill people's needs, to commercialize it. That we sometimes call revenue model innovation or business model innovation. Who might the customer be? What could the product or service look like? How would we market it? That's our bread and butter. That's what we do. So when you think about an innovation lab, don't think about Lawrence Berkeley National Lab and upstream basic research. Think about the downstream innovation. Think about business model innovation. How do we take all that Berkeley is producing? Think about Berkeley as a big funnel with all this terrific biology, chemistry, engineering, research, not just in the sciences, also in the social sciences. Run it down a funnel and into the marketplace, and we're right at that narrow part of the funnel, the business model innovation. That's what we do. So an innovation lab across the street. Somebody mentioned to me, let's make it bigger. How about an innovation campus right across the street? We could do this, that, and okay, we got kind of carried away, but there's that is going to happen across the street. We also have, as you probably know, 2 years from now, we will have a new north building built. We are not quite fully funded yet. We're about $45 million funded against $60 million, but a 70,000 square foot building will replace that beautiful Girton Hall. That wood frame building there is going to be saved and moved up to the Botanical Garden in Strawberry Creek, Strawberry Canyon. And we are going to have a beautiful building right here, and that building is going to be all about the students. It's going to be all about the students. So our beautiful 3-building campus now, our Haas campus, If you recall, it opened in 1995. It has served us beautifully for the last 20 years. But management education has changed a lot in the last 20 years. If you were going to design a building from scratch today, there are a lot of things you'd put in it that we don't currently have anywhere near enough of. For example, breakout space. Students are working much more, firms are working much more in teams. Society is working in teams. We are reflecting what society is doing. Students are doing a lot more group work, group projects, working in teams, and we have no so-called breakout space. We have virtually no breakout space in these buildings. You look at the new business schools that are getting built today, they're like 20–30% breakout space. We have zero. So we're not just growing. In fact, don't even think about it as growth. We are remixing. If you said, what's the stuff you don't have enough of now that we need now that we're going to need in 5–10 years as best we can tell? And let's just put a bunch of it in that building, and there isn't a staff office in the building. There isn't a faculty office in the building. It's about the students. So we're going to have that built, hopefully, for the fall of 2015, 2 years from now. We have to finish getting it funded, of course. That's my job. We just got a $15 million commitment signed about 2 months for that, so 2 months ago. So that was a great gift. I need one more of those if anybody is... Okay. So imagine now this beautiful building over here. We've got an innovation lab, students connecting. In the past, when you went... So I was an undergrad here in 1982, right? Well, we weren't in this building in 82. We were in Barrows, right? But for those of you that know this structure, right? 5 years ago, kind of going over to the Memorial Stadium, it's like, no, that's foreign territory. Now, there's a beautiful plaza up there, and they're going to basically activate that space. So this beautiful north building over here, daylight Strawberry Creek. Strawberry Creek is actually, it comes out of Strawberry Canyon. It's underground here. It comes out right next to the Women's Faculty Club. Daylight Strawberry Creek. It's going to run just to the north of this building, between this building and the north building. And there's going to be a bridge over Strawberry Creek. And you're going to walk into this beautiful courtyard. And then, on the other end, 2 years from now, you will be able to walk right into the library from the courtyard. And the library is going to be like an active workspace. It's going to feel like Pete's Coffee there, okay? So, all right. So that's a facilities master plan that we're really only 2 years away from. And as our school, in 1995, if you look at the level of alumni engagement, with whatever metric you want to look at, okay? How many times do people come back and come to an event? How often do they give to the annual fund? How often do they teach a course for us? It's a hockey stick in 1995. We took off as an institution, as a community in 1995 because these buildings gave us a sense of collective place, of shared mission, a sense of affiliation. And it's been really deep ever since. And this next iteration of ourselves, this master plan for what we need to look like 5–10 years from now, we're going to have a lot of it in place in 2 years, and I'm very excited about it. What else am I excited about? I'm excited about our people, our faculty, our students, again and again and again. Let me give you an example. One of our top finance faculty, Ulrika Malmendier, she works in a field called behavioral finance. So it's the interface of psychology and finance. Most of you, I'm a finance person too. When we took finance, it's like psychology, finance, no, totally separate. Not anymore, right? And so not only does she do behavioral finance, she does behavioral corporate finance. So she works on how silly cognition mistakes affect why CEOs do M&A, mergers and acquisitions the way they do, and make other silly financial decisions. Not always, but sometimes. But that's provocative. It's provocative in economics because they don't always assume optimizing and 100% rational behavior, which the finance paradigm when you and I came through here did, right? So why am I bringing her up? There's something called the John Bates Clark Medal in economics. There's something called the Fields Medal in mathematics. These are huge awards. She just won the equivalent in finance. The highest. She is the most influential thinker as rated by her peers under 40 in the field of finance worldwide. It's given every 2 years. It's not even given every year. Nobel Prizes come out every year. They're not a big deal. David Teese, very quickly. The National Order of Merit in New Zealand. He's a Kiwi himself. He continues to produce and innovate around what's going on at the school. David Vogel was just named one of the top 100 thinkers by Trust.com in the area of responsible business. Look, I could go on and on and on. Laura Tyson is going to be launching our new Institute for Societal Impact. What's that? We had a bunch of centers that we developed over the years, our Center for Responsible Business, our Center for Nonprofit and Public Leadership, our Global Social Venture Competition. We're going to pull all of that together and put it under an umbrella, an institute, and she's going to lead it, and it's going to be terrific. And it's always been part of our narrative as a school. Let me say a few things about our faculty and how often that, look, one of the things I'm most excited about is our ability to compete with anybody in the faculty markets. So Lucas Davis, one of our faculty members in economics, got a tenured, full, super generous offer from Stanford Business School. 6 months ago, he called the dean at Stanford, Barcelona, and said, no, I'm staying at Berkeley. That's a good win for us. Toby Stewart. Toby Stewart, arguably the best faculty member on the planet in the area of entrepreneurship, a hotly contested area, called his dean, Nita Noria, at HBS and said, I'm moving to Berkeley. And that was a year ago. That was a great win. Last week, a faculty member, Cameron Anderson, some of you may know him. He teaches power and politics, basically influence without authority. Terrific Yale offer. And I'm talking like 40% above his current salary. He let the dean at Yale know that he's staying at Berkeley last week. We are a human capital organization. We're going to get stronger as we continue to win those battles. We're going to get weaker if we lose them. And you and our whole community has given me as the dean the financial model, the wherewithal to be able to compete with any and all universities and business schools. So we're going to keep at that, I promise you. At the end of the day, look, it's really about place, people, and culture. It's about place, people, and culture. When people say, okay, you're standing in front of, yesterday I was doing this, right? It's like, how do you win when somebody just got into HBS and they just got into Haas and they're making a decision? Happens all the time. Yesterday was that day, right? We had 80 admits. Our class size is 240. Everybody in that room has an offer from another top 5 business school. And it's sort of like, what's your proposition, right? And we talk a lot about place, people, and culture, these deep, largely non-replicable advantages. If business schools didn't exist, a lot of people would like to put their business school right where we are, part of the San Francisco Silicon Valley, this entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystem that is unrivaled in the world. Huge asset. So play it up. I mean, one piece of news that just came in, the National Science Foundation just selected us, Haas School, and our Lester Center for Entrepreneurship to be at the center of what they're calling a West Coast innovation core, an innovation core. And so Andre Marquis, our Lester Center person, is running this. I'm one of the principal investigators. The other principal investigator is Steve Blank, arguably the foremost thought leader in entrepreneurship today. It links Berkeley-Haas, Berkeley Engineering, UCSF for medical, and Stanford Engineering. And the National Science Foundation said, we're going to give you $4 million to basically get more out of, help us get more out of the $7 billion a year that we're spending in basic research. Right? National Science Foundation is mostly a basic research funder. But more and more and more, the American people are saying, we need more commercial output from that. Again, it's our sweet spot, right? It didn't go to a college of engineering as the lead player because the notion of business model innovation was so important. So that's the kind of thing that's that we're able to leverage more and more and more. Place is partly, obviously, that ecosystem. It's partly Berkeley, one of the global university super brands. There's just no question about it. Go to Sao Paulo, say Berkeley. Go to Shanghai, say Berkeley. Unbelievable. Unbelievable how strong it is. You all get our alumni magazine. You know it changed names, right? So Victor and others have been helping us think about this. Look, Cal means a ton to me. I'm an undergrad here. Cal, heartstring stuff. Go to Shanghai, say Cal. Go to Sao Paulo, say Cal. We're not playing a local game. We're playing a global game. So we changed the name of our alumni magazine to Berkeley-Haas. It used to be called Cal Business. For 25 years, it was Cal Business. That's not our proposition. Cal is an athletics brand. It's a local brand. I love it. I mean no disrespect, but we have to play our best game, and we're going to play our best game on every front. So it's place, it's people. I've talked a bit about people, and just very quickly on culture. Hopefully you know we're taking culture really seriously. We are not just putting words on paper. We've changed the way we do admissions. You know, admissions isn't just one work process, it's like 15. So it's like break admissions down, unpack it, change every single one of those so that you double, triple down on things like confidence without attitude. Confidence without attitude starts with confidence. We want the strivers. We're a business school, for crying out loud. Bring on the big aspirations. But real confidence comes without arrogance, and we're gonna play that card to the hilt. Now, we don't get that exactly right. Nobody does. But we're going to take it super seriously, and we're going to select people based on it. Question the status quo. You know, this habit of mine, there's got to be a better way to do this. I love being around people like that. And so do you. And there are a lot of people that aren't like that. Really good people, very productive people. But it's sort of like, you know, that's just not the way you think. That's a great thing. So the culture part of who we are is really fundamental. I'm going to share with you, if I may, and then I'm going to offer a few questions and then turn it over to Tom. I'm going to share with you an email that I received very, very recently. And the email came from one of our alums. And here is the subject buried in here. Subject line of this email, very quickly. Haas defining principles in raising our son. Dean Lyons, I'm an MBA alum from 2011, and our family recently welcomed our first child, Nikhil, into the world. A question I've been asking many of my friends and family: if there are 3 behaviors, values, ideas you can guarantee Nikhil will believe by his 18th birthday, what would they be? I've gotten several really interesting answers. My summary of them became: 1, a focus on education; 2, perspective greater than oneself; 3, resilience through tough times. Then I thought about it some more and realized these represent our core defining principles: students always, beyond yourself, and confidence without attitude. The Haas culture transcends generations. And then he signed it. It's a good time to stand on values. This is an important part of what our identity as an institution is about. These are not new. These were here when you were here. These were here when you were here. We didn't create them. But we're going to live by them. We're going to be intentional about them. I promise you that. So much that's exciting going on. Let me take a couple of quick questions, and then I'll introduce Tom. Who's got a question, please? Please, up here. So the question was, can you comment on the Excel errors in Reinhardt and Rogoff, the two? So briefly, yeah. So this, look, for those of you that aren't following this, right, in sort of international macroeconomics, and Ken Rogoff, both Ken and Carmen are absolutely terrific international financial macroeconomists. And they wrote a paper that had to do with sort of instability as debt to GDP ratios get too high. And they defined a threshold, or purportedly found a threshold around 90% that said that things start getting unstable. As far as I understand it, they clearly made an error in their mathematics. I haven't heard anybody or them suggest that they didn't. Look, this is a controversial area. They actually they stuck to their story, though, right. They basically said our story's true even if that particular numerical result isn't. But it makes it a lot harder to tell that story. I think, at least in my view. At least in my view. But, you know, the big question that we're all confronting is, look, when you go into a recession, I'm still enough of a Keynesian that when we're in year 1 or year 2 of a recession or a depression, right? My kids ask me just, so what mistakes, I don't know why it came up. My kids at dinner asked, what mistakes did Herbert Hoover make? It wasn't quite like that. But why was the depression so tough, right? And if you recall your monetary history, right, the idea was we need to be disciplined. They were actually doing pro-cyclical fiscal and monetary policy at the time. They were contracting spending from the government and trying to reduce deficits and things like that. Now, as we go, you know, into year 4, 5, and 6 of the downturn, effectively, worldwide, now there's a real debate about whether, you know, counter-cyclical fiscal policy in particular, right, continuing government spending and lowering taxes, which tends to stimulate the economy, is the right thing given the debt to GDP. You know, we've got a lot of debt. We're not starting at 0. That's the big debate. My own view is I'm middle of the road. I look at a Paul Krugman and I think that would be going too far, in my view. But I also don't tend to appreciate the kind of the far other end of the spectrum that says discipline, discipline, discipline. Because there are an awful lot of countries around the world where it would be really painful on lots and lots of people to impose the kind of discipline that some people are proposing. But big debate. In fact, maybe one of the defining debates of our time. It's really a major, major, major issue because it affects hundreds of millions of people potentially. How about one more quick one? Good question, big question. There's a hand up in the back, please, thanks. Yeah. Yeah. Great question. Great question. So the question was really about our sort of visibility relative to other schools, Stanford in particular. And there's certain topics where Stanford is very much a go-to institution, and Stanford GSB, the business school, is a go-to institution. When it surrounds entrepreneurship, Stanford tends to be the first call. We need to be the first call more often. So it's one of the things that I've tried to take very seriously. So, you know, one of the things at the Wall Street Journal, there's a woman by the name of Melissa Korn, and I made an effort to get to know her, and I often will get a call from her when she's writing an article. And so part of it is the relationship capital. You got to build it up. These people have to feel like you're available if they need you. We have a long ways to go. I feel the same thing about Berkeley as a university. Versus, you know, I was listening to something, they said, well, Stanford and MIT and Harvard, and it's kind of like, you know, Berkeley in most objective rankings lives above some schools that are just like that, right? It's certainly in that competitive set, but we're not on the screen. And I think that's a challenge for Berkeley. It's still a challenge for Berkeley-Haas. So while we're getting more of the front page or the article on business schools in the Wall Street Journal or Financial Times and so forth, we're getting more ink, and we actually track various metrics of kind of how much ink we're getting. We're still punching below our weight, and so I'm going to continue to focus on that. Oh yeah, well there certainly is. Yeah, so we have a marketing and communications team that's headed by Rich Lyons, and his team are absolutely terrific. You know, I mean, some of the things that you see, I don't know if you've seen some of the very lively posters around, right? So Joe Jimenez, who's one of our alums, he's the CEO of Novartis. If you walk through the hallway over there, bang, you're going to see Joe, right? And so that's obviously an internal communication mechanism, but they're doing some really creative stuff. And So when we got this big NSF grant, we got a lot of attention for that, right? And that was very helpful for us. But we got a lot more work to do. So I take that point. I think we all take that point, right? We've got Berkeley has more work to do, and Berkeley-Haas has more work to do. Completely agree with that. Let me introduce a colleague and friend, Tom Kelly. Tom is, as you heard, the general manager at IDEO, the globally respected design firm in the South Bay. Tom is a 1993 MBA grad, 93 class, right, Tom? Or 83, sorry. Yeah, was it 2003 or was it, you're looking really fresh today, Tom. He has written a couple of books. He is a thinker and a half. He comes and he's one of our executive fellows. I think he was the very first of our executive fellows, which keeps him connected in a deeper way. He's spoken at a number of our orientations, so he's one of the people we like to throw at our students right when they get here to get some sense for the energy and excitement in our alumni base, and also in the areas that he's absolutely expert in, which is applied design and applied innovation. So I will turn it over to Tom. Thank you very much for being here.